So I was on Joe Rogan's show a couple of days ago. This is the second time I've been on his show. And I kind of had, as I explained to my daughter a few minutes ago, I kind of had a nervous breakdown on his show. He handled it very well. Maybe he should be a therapist. But I really went to pieces on his show. He thinks it's going to go viral. I think I just embarrassed myself and made a fool of myself. But whatever happens, happens. It's going to air supposedly on Wednesday, the 11th of September. Oh, September 11th. How fitting.
Wow.
Nervous breakdown on September 11th. Nice. Why did I have a nervous breakdown? You were just thinking to yourself,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
that's what I was thinking.
That's what you were thinking. I know. I'm a mind reader too. Why? Because, I have been doing this stuff for more than 12 years. And I've made amazing discoveries. I have discovered 10 different techniques that these companies have available to shift thinking and behavior. These are all made possible by the internet. They've never existed before in human history. I've studied them. I've quantified them. I've presented them at scientific meetings. I've published in scientific journals. And then I figured out how to preserve ephemeral content. And we've been building that system. We've spent almost $7 million building the world's first nationwide system for monitoring them, for doing to them what they do to us and our kids 24 hours a day. We now surveil them, just like they surveil us. And surveillance is powerful. So why did I have a nervous breakdown, you ask? Because what's happened with all this? Nothing has happened. And every step of the way has been extremely difficult. And there have been 6 incidents now, including the first one being the death of my wife. There have been 6 incidents since 2019, which are very, very, very suspicious, in which people have been hurt either somewhat or badly, that, may have something to do with the research I do, because who am I? Who is it I'm taking on here? Who am I messing with? What is this big database that we're building? Who does that threaten? Doesn't threaten you. The bigger that database gets, the more it threatens the most powerful companies that have ever existed in the history of humankind. And my life is completely ruined as a result. I've been cut off from mainstream media, which I used to write for. I used to be editor-in-chief of Psychology Today. I used to work with Scientific American. I used to publish in Time Magazine, USA Today, et cetera, et cetera. Now I'm completely cut off. I can only publish now in places I call I call them right-wing conservative nutcase publications. That's what I call them. And all my right-wing friends now laugh at me when I say that, because I think I'm joking. So my life has been ruined by this. And that's why I had a complete meltdown on Rogan's show. And I think that's part of the story here. I haven't talked about it until just a few days ago. I've never talked to anyone about it publicly. But I think I need to be honest with myself. I need to be honest with myself, because what I'm doing is insane.
Well, what you're doing is insanely dangerous for yourself, because if this catches on, you are going to be you are a big enemy of the establishment, right? So Google is the establishment. The Democratic Party is the establishment. They're the establishment. Kamala Harris is the establishment's chosen candidate. Donald Trump is not. Donald Trump is the enemy of both the Democratic establishment and the Republican establishment. He's an outsider. That's why Dick Cheney and 200 Bush-Cheney Republicans endorsed Kamala Harris. So whether you like Donald Trump, whether you don't, whether you think he's a con artist, whether you think he did a bad job in his first term, you cannot deny, you can deny, you would be doing it incorrectly, that it's clear that somehow, in some way, much like Elon Musk, Donald Trump is a thorn in the side of the establishment, even though he's a billionaire and was an insider his entire life. And his presidency was, I would say, he was 80 to 85% like every other Republican president in my lifetime. He wasn't much different at all. In fact, the big difference between him and other presidents in my lifetime is that he was the one president who didn't start a war. And I think that I'm speculating. I'm think that's got to be the reason why the establishment favors Kamala Harris. She is a complete and 100% tool of the military industrial complex, Wall Street, big pharma, and now Donald Trump, as we saw in his first term. He has the crazy idea, doctor, that the president is supposed to control the military and the president is supposed to control the deep state, the CIA, the NSA, and the FBI. That's what Donald Trump thought, and that's how he acted. Well, it's become clear that the military and the deep state don't work for the president. As Chuck Schumer admitted on Rachel Maddow's show when he said Donald Trump shouldn't mess with the intelligence community because they have 6 ways to Sunday to get back to you. Well, what he was revealing was that the intelligence community, the CIA, the FBI, does not work for the president. And that the president better watch his ass, because if he gets on the wrong side of the intelligence community, he's in big trouble. And so the question that Rachel Maddow should have asked in that situation was, well, if they don't work for the president, who do they work for? So same people who the military, the Pentagon works for. It turns out it's not the president. It's just that usually the people who control the Pentagon and the CIA are the same people who make sure that whichever candidate is nominated in either party is acceptable to them. Right? So Barack Obama, John McCain, they were both acceptable. Barack Obama, Mitt Romney, they were both acceptable. George Bush and John Kerry, they were both acceptable. Bob Dole, George Bush, Bill Clinton, they were both acceptable to the Pentagon, the military industrial complex, and the CIA. So Donald Trump seems to be not acceptable fully to those people. And that's why they did Russiagate, which is a complete conspiracy theory invented by the deep state, the Clinton campaign, and the billionaire-controlled media, the establishment media. And that's why they did January 6th, which was an FBI op. We just found out they did the exact same thing in Brazil to get rid of Bolsonaro and install Lula. That's why they did 4 bullshit lawfare lawsuits against Donald Trump to try to make him a felon and to criminalize his political operation. And now they try to assassinate him. Nobody's trying to kill Joe Biden. Nobody's trying to kill Kamala Harris from the deep state. And so you can't deny this. This is really happening right now. And you're pointing out how Google, which is it's a CIA operation from start to finish. You're saying how they're using the ominous power of Google to shift votes. You're not only making that assertion, you've proven it scientifically. You're a Harvard professor. You've proven this. And so they came after you and tried to ruin your life. And they did it for your wife. So that's not insane, but it takes an insane amount of courage to do what you're actually doing. That's why I think it's important to lead the show with this story.
Well, I don't think it's courage anymore. I think that me and the people around me have paid too big of a price. Not only that, we have to struggle for every single penny we bring in, and that shouldn't be the case. I mean, it should be obvious that this content has to be monitored and has to be preserved so we can go back in time and see what they did, or we can go public with it as we're collecting the data, which is what we're choosing to do right now, and shame these companies. And of course, we're sharing data now with AGs in various states and with members of Congress. And letters are about to be sent out, very threatening letters to the CEO of Google based on our data. We can shame them. We can sue them. There's all kinds of things we can do with finally having the data in hand.
So go ahead.
But But I just laid all that out before. Oh, I forgot to mention, right this second, our system is showing that Google is sending out on its homepage, they put those little reminders, little notes sometimes on their homepage, which is seen 500 million times a day in the United States. Google right now is sending registered to vote reminders to Democrats at 2.5 times they're sending them to Republicans. Those are going to turn into partisan mail in your ballot reminders, and those are going to turn into partisan go vote reminders. And that manipulation alone, those targeted messages on their homepage, that alone shifts millions of votes on election day itself. That can shift more than 450,000 votes. If there's no monitoring system in place, you would never know what they did. You have to monitor. So why I have to struggle so hard to build this system, it's driving me nuts.
So
And not only that, I laid all this out in the first few minutes of the show, and then you proceeded to give a 7-minute, I timed it, 7-minute pro-Trump speech. What
Yeah.
the hell does that have to do with the research I've done and the monitoring system I've developed?
no, what that has to do is you're saying that Google is pushing people to vote for Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
It's
trying
got
to
nothing to
so
do
you
with
wanna-
left or
so-
right.
so
It's
I
You
nothing
want to
do with left
balance
or right.
that by
So-
giving a pro-Trump speech?
no well I wouldn't, what I would call it is a objectively evaluating what's happening. So I said you could think Donald Trump's a con man. I've ridiculed and I've criticized Donald Trump. His first administration, well, he didn't do anything he said he was going to do. He said he was going to. I said he governed like a regular Republican. But there's a reason why they're pushing people to vote. You're the one saying that the establishment is pushing people to vote Democrat for Kamala Harris. You're saying that, right?
Yeah, but
You're saying
yeah,
that.
but I'm saying
Yes,
something
okay.
else too, and I don't. think you're
So then what I
listening.
was doing was explaining why they would do that, and you want to categorize it as a pro-Trump speech. I would disagree with that. My point here, what I do here is I analyze the news, and I was analyzing what you were saying, and I was telling people, I was trying to explain why that the establishment would be doing what you're claiming they're doing. You're the one who came on my show and is telling people that the establishment, through Google, is switching people's votes and making sure people vote for Kamala Harris. That's what you're doing, right?
That's what we're finding. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So I'm explaining why they would do that. Do you have an explanation of why the establishment would push people to vote for Kamala Harris?
Well, 96% of donations from Google and most of the other tech companies go to Democrats. So that's the culture of the company. They hire people who are like them, and they're hiring people who lean very, very, very strongly left or progressive left. And so, yeah, they want to support their candidates, which under the First Amendment, they're allowed to do, but they're doing it. I'm saying they're doing it subliminally and secretly on a massive scale. And I don't think that should be allowed. And without a monitoring system in place, there would be no evidence at all. All you'd have were some anecdotes, some silly anecdotes, like someone a few weeks ago, for example, saying, "Hey, I type in Trump assassination attempt, and Google is trying to take me to Abraham Lincoln or McKinley or." You see what I'm saying? And I go, wait, that's an anecdote. That's ridiculous. We're collecting search suggestions by the millions. We know what Google is really doing, and what they're really doing is outrageous, and it should not be allowed.
Okay, do you know, wait, that also counts as a pro-Trump speech, what you just said?
Well, what you just said counts as a pro-Trump speech. So everything you've said on everything you
called that.
Everything you've said on this show is, I could say, why are you giving me I timed it since the minute you came on. You've been giving pro-Trump speeches. Why are you doing that?
Well, see, this is why my sister is mad at me, because my whole family is Democrats, and I lean left myself, and so there are people, friends, family members who won't even talk to anymore because now they think I'm pro-Trump. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm pro.
Yeah,
I'm not.
That's what me
Welcome
too.
to my nightmare, sir.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. So, and you fell into the same trap as your stupid family. You just did what your family did to you. You just did to this show. You realize you did that, right?
I am pro-America. I
Yeah,
am
me too. Do you? I'm
pro-country. I
asking you a
am
question
pro.
though, Doctor. Answer the question. You realize that what your family has done to you, you just did to this show, right?
I'm not going to answer that. I'm
Why
not going to
won't you
answer that
answer that?
because there's another part of what I was saying that you have not addressed and are not listening to, which is the part where I'm fed up. No, seriously, because
no, I know. Believe me, I'm being serious. I'm 100,000% serious.
I know.
That was like a
Also,
ridiculous.
I don't believe in
So you
America,
just
sir,
did
so
the
you know,
most, the
I'm not-
same ridiculous bullshit that you get for telling the truth about what's happening. I've been getting for the last since Donald Trump got elected. People have called me a Trump supporter when I debunked Russiagate. People called me a Trump supporter when I told the truth about the Syrian gas attacks. People called me a Trump supporter when I told the truth about January 6th. People called me a Trump supporter when I told the truth about the lawfare. I have another segment coming up where the head of the Justice Department in New York admits that all those court cases are there, just like the same thing the Google algorithms are doing, is to get people to not vote for Trump. They're all bullshit. And so when I cover that, I get the same thing that you get for doing your job, I get for doing my job. I just been getting it about 4 years longer than you've been getting it. So it's kind of shitty, to say the least, and unproductive for you to come on and do the exact thing that you're complaining about. You then turn into that monster and do it to this show. That's kind of, that's and you did that, and that's why you don't want to answer that question, because it's embarrassing to you because you did it. You're the thing you claim to hate. You fell into that trap. You're weak. You're just as weak as those people who call you that. And so that's unfortunate is the nicest way I can put it. It's very unfortunate. So, but I think you're doing. Go ahead, Kurt.
It's going to probably be a little more viral than the Rogan thing.
So that was you're undermining your own case. You're undermining this show. I'm here to try to help promote you. I'm here to try to promote the work you're doing. And that was unbelievable bullshit. And now you won't answer the question. Now you won't answer the question when I say you realize that you're doing to me the same thing that your family does to you. I'm telling objective truths. In fact, in that 7-minute rant that you called pro-Trump, I told people he governed like a regular Republican and he didn't do in his first term what he said he was going to do. But I had to lay out facts that might be uncomfortable for you, just like the facts that you're laying out are uncomfortable for your family. And your flex was to call me, say I was giving a pro-Trump speech. Everything you're saying, somebody can accuse you of being pro-Trump. And they are doing that. And then you turn around and do it to me. And you don't feel any shame about that at all?
Well, yeah, I mean, frankly, you're very hard to figure out.
So no. So the answer is no. You don't feel any shame about that?
No, because I
okay. Well, you really should. I'm telling you, should, because you're doing the exact stupid bullshit that people do to you, you just did to me, because your mind isn't big enough to understand what the fuck we're doing here at this show. That's why. And that's too bad.
I do have trouble figuring out what you're doing on your show. That's true.
Yeah. Okay. Well, a lot of people have trouble figuring out what you're doing, right?
Okay, look. Everybody's got to get out of the I'm left or right mindset. That shit's done. The thing that you've proven is it's not a real thing.
It's not a real thing. It's over.
There's no such thing. We have only lesser of two evils, and Trump is the lesser right now. That's undeniable unless you're out of your mind. I don't like Trump. Again, I don't
like Trump. I didn't vote for Trump. I'm not going to vote for Trump. I never told anybody vote for Trump.
To have to think like that, it's like
that's like a child brain. That's like a juvenile child brain. What you did.
Well, that's why Google works,
and that's why Google works. That's exactly why Google works.
Google works because everybody's primed by this nonsense death cult we live in, and everyone's primed to be like, well, you got to pick one or the other. Well, everyone's primed for that nonsense. I bet if you went to Harvard, you got it worse than anybody. Now, Harvard people, they program that nonsense in to your core. I can watch you wrestling with it. It sucks. Drop the whole Republican Democrat. That's over. We're way past that now. This is now, if Kamala gets in, she's basically Judy Garland. When Judy Garland, they just drug her up and throw her into a movie. That's going to be the end of America if Kamala gets in.
That
will be the end, not Trump.
Hold on a second, because I just have to there's a little word that you use there, which I just have to bring to everyone's attention. You said, if Kamala gets in. Okay. This is what I do. This is what I do a day and night. Okay. I study data, and a lot of it is election data. And I'm studying a massive amount of election data that no one's ever had access to before. And when you say, if Kamala gets in, I go, what? You don't understand. Trump cannot win. It is absolutely impossible. When those guys from Google got up on that stage, one after another, and they said, we're never going to let Trump win again, they meant it. And no matter what I collect, because I am collecting very, very, incriminating evidence here, which is now court admissible in 19 or 20 states, by the way, that they meant it, and it is impossible for Trump to win. Absolutely impossible. Believe whatever poll you want to believe, it doesn't matter. Unless he has a win margin of 5% or more, it has to be over 4%, and he has to have 5% or more in every damn state, especially those swing states. He has absolutely no chance of winning, because Google controls margins between 4 and 16%. Google controls those margins. 4 is guaranteed. Absolutely, they determine who wins. Meaning if the opponent is ahead by 4 points, Google wins. The other guy wins. You follow me?
Yeah. So I followed you like Trump. That's what you're saying. You hope people vote for Trump instead of Kamala. Is that what you're saying?
Again, you have a very interesting way of interpreting what I say, just as I have an interesting way of interpreting what you say. But the bottom line is that Donald Trump cannot possibly win. It is impossible. I feel bad for the guy because I'm friends with 2 members of his family, and I feel very bad for the guy because he's going to have to go through all these trials, and he's not going to have any way of defending himself. He's not going to be president. And I feel very bad for the guy. He never even wanted to be president.
Well, if there's any consolation, we'll probably have World War III before then.
Oh, that's a kind of, yeah, I feel very consoled. Thank you.
If it's any consolation, they'll make sure there's some kind of horrible conflict before it even gets to that.
Anyway, the bottom line here, people, is if you're interested in my work, God, please go to Americas with an S, digitalshield.com, and you'll see a real-time dashboard, and it's showing you the massive amount of data we're collecting from a politically balanced group of more than 15,000 registered voters in all 50 states. And what we're finding is extreme political bias sufficient to shift in this election by Google alone between 6.4 and 25.5 million votes, whichever direction they choose.
And you think you think they're pushing people to vote for Kamala Harris for no reason whatsoever?
I believe that the founding fathers were right. Jefferson, Adams, Washington, when they said that the worst thing that could ever happen to this country would be for it to adopt a 2-party system, that it would set one American against another, that it would cause terrible chaos, and that it would cause people to confuse issues on platforms. And that's what those 3 men said, and they were exactly right. And we're paying the price for the idiots who gave us a 2-party system. And we're all mistreating each other, which we should never do, including you and I. We're all mistreating each other because of the 2-party system.
Well, it sounds like a blueprint when you say it like that. Not really an accident. It sounds like they got exactly what they wanted. That's what it sounds like.
They didn't want it. Those 3 men did not want this, and but we're all seem to be stuck with it, and no one seems to be willing to kind of step out of it and make some corrections here. We need to treat each other, whatever our perspectives, with courtesy and respect. Some of my best friends now, because I've been
Are you talking to a mirror? Are you talking to a mirror?
Yeah.
Because I think so. Okay, so you're okay. So I guess since you're not interested in why the entire establishment, Google, the military-industrial complex, the deep state would want you to vote for Kamala Harris over Donald Trump. I guess that is too sticky of a question for you to answer, look into, be interested in.
No, because
that's what I do here. That's what you won't do or can't do or don't have the ability to, but for whatever reason aren't. That's what we do here. And so, we also don't fall into the trap of thinking there are two parties when there aren't two parties. There's one party. It's called a uniparty. That's why 200 Bush, Cheney, McCain, Mitt Romney Republicans endorsed Kamala Harris. That's why Dick Cheney and his daughter just endorsed Kamala Harris. That's why, because there isn't a difference that's worth a shit between the Democrats or Republican and what Trump is somehow on the outside of the establishment. Even though he's a billionaire, just like Elon Musk, they're trying to take away his Twitter in Brazil. They're trying to scare him with lawfare, just like they just arrested the CEO of Telegram in France. So it's the same game. Same thing they did to Julian Assange. They don't want information to be able to get out to people. And that's why they did that to Julian Assange. That's why Edward Snowden is in Russia. That's why they just arrested the Telegram guy. So you might not be aware of all those things I said. And those are facts.
I am aware of them.
I didn't make those things up.
No. I am aware of them. But what I'm actually
are you aware that Russiagate was a complete conspiracy theory invented by the CIA and the Clinton campaign and the establishment media? Are you aware of that?
Actually, what I'm aware of seems to be different than what you're aware of.
So no, you're not aware of that. So you're not aware of that?
19 members of Trump's campaign were communicating with Russians.
Are you not aware? So you're not aware of that?
Wait a minute.
So I'm asking
you're
you,
not aware.
Why won't you ask? Why won't you answer those questions? Why you won't answer a question? Are you aware of that? You aware that the Mueller report said there was zero evidence. There was zero evidence that there was any collusion between Trump campaign and Russia. Did you know that? Did you know that the Mueller report said that?
The Mueller report showed constant contact between 19 members of Trump's campaign and Russian operatives. Now, the reason why this was occurring, apparently, maybe you're not aware of it, is because
so you're not going to answer any question I ask you. I asked you a question. Are you aware? Are you aware that the Mueller report said there was zero evidence of collusion? That's a fact. That's in the Mueller report. Are you aware of that?
Are you aware that
no, so you're not going to answer. Doctor, if you're not going to answer straight questions, I'm going to have to end this interview. So it's annoying.
Show.
It's annoying to say the least. Why won't you answer straight questions?
I am giving you my
answer. You answer questions with another question. I asked you, are you aware that the Mueller report said there was zero evidence of collusion between Trump and Trump campaign and Russia? Did you know that?
That was using a legal definition.
So do you know?
Collusion,
so again, you won't answer this question. So I don't know why you won't answer a question. You just won't answer a question
because you're not actually.
Are you aware of it or you're not aware of it? Because that's what it said.
Trump wanted his permits. He's been trying to get those permits in 1979, and that's why his people were dealing with the Russians.
You just won't answer questions. It's frustrating.
He wanted his.
It's
permits.
frustrating.
Look,
it's frustrating. But listen, I think everybody understands what you're doing. Everybody knows that you say that Google and the establishment is pushing people to vote for Kamala Harris. That's the important part of what you're saying today. The important part of what you're saying. Do you know that Bill Clinton got a $500,000 payment from the Russian for giving a speech?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
I'm friends. I'm good friends with Peter Schweitzer.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yeah, he's one of my best friends.
That's amazing how easy it was for you to answer that question. I appreciate. That's how usually it goes. You ask a question, then you answer. It was great. You know how to do it. You just won't do it. So anyway, everybody understands what your job is. Everybody understands what your project is. I think it's important, and I'm appreciative of the work you're doing, and I'm glad to bring attention to it. It's too bad that you don't understand the bigger picture, and you do the exact same thing to me that your family has done to you. And so, good on you for doing this project. Shame on you for not being a big enough person to apologize for doing the exact same underhanded bullshit that your family did to you that you did to me. So thanks for coming on, Doctor. It's good to talk to you. Good luck with your work. I hope the establishment doesn't kill you. I hope you stay safe and continue your work. And let's take a break and we'll be right back.